Instead of trying to change the white man in your mind, make you accept us, we change the mind of the black man and make him accept himself. And as soon as he accepts himself, he'll solve his own problem. He won't be trying to force himself into your factory and into your bedroom and into your kitchen.
With no education, you have neo-colonialism instead of colonialism, like you got in Africa 9, like you got in Haiti. So what we're talking about is there has to be education program. That's very important. As a matter of fact, it's so important for us that a person has to go through 6 weeks of our political education before he can consider himself a member of the party, able to even run down ideology for the party. Why? Because if they don't have the education, then they're nowhere. You dig what I'm saying? They're nowhere because they don't even know why they're doing what they're doing. You might get people caught up in the emotionalist movement. You understand me? You might get them caught up in because they're poor and they want something. And then if they're not educated, they want more. And before you know it, they'll be capitalist. And before you know it, we have Negro imperialists.
Peace and Black Power family. Wukusu. This is Brother IJ Taimba from Harlem Liberation School, where we teach Black people consistently the same message: to wake up, clean up, and stand up, as Brother Malcolm X shared with us probably back in 62 or 63. Speaking of Brother Malcolm X, roughly 59 years ago, on February 21st, a few days back, is unfortunately the commemoration of when he was assassinated just up from Harlem in Washington Heights area of New York City, in what was then called the Audubon Ballroom. I am a person that believes that we should do important things consistently, that who we are is not what we do every now and then, but it's what we do consistently. However, when it comes to celebrating people and taking special days to commemorate special things, I think that's important too. So hopefully, I know they had stuff over at the Malcolm X Dr. Betty Shabazz Center, and they've had a lot of things in the community around the meaning of Malcolm X, celebrating some of his speeches, reviewing and revisiting some of his political ideas and ideology. And I hope that you were able to take part. And if not, it's not too late, family. We still got 364 days or 60-something days. We can still talk about Malcolm and still talk about his importance, his meaning to us. Those who don't know much, there's still books. You can read plenty of books on Malcolm, films, and documentaries. Family, we would like to thank you for joining us. As you know, today we will have a special show. Of course, I'm biased. I think all of these broadcasts are special. I believe they're special because work goes into it, careful curation. With the people that come on this broadcast are carefully curated. We don't just bring people on here because they're richly melanated. They come on here if they have some degree of consciousness, some love for Black people, doing something of importance for Black people on our behalf. And so that's why I believe every particular broadcast is important, because the people we bring on are important, and the work they're doing is important, and the people they're doing that work on behalf of are very important. Brother Sharif hit me up. He said he'll be here in a few minutes. In the meantime, I'd like to direct your attention to a post. I'm very active on some of these social media outlets, because I know that's where For better or worse, many of our people are stuck in the World Wide Web they weave. So if we want to get messages across, we better be where the people are. And one of the places the people are is on Facebook, Instagram, all these different social media things. I posted something today I'd like to read to you. I'm going to see if I can show it to you. So give me 1 second, family. Bear with the brother as I try to share the screen for you. Okay. I'm going to scroll down right now. You should see my Facebook page. And this is a very important post as we wait for Brother Sharif to come in. Something that I find myself talking a lot about with friends, with colleagues, in this case, fellow educators and fellow community organizers, and even elders like my mother. We tend to say some of the same things in terms of complaints about the younger generation. And that's not to say that we're not entitled to make those observations, right? And those comparisons. But I think it's going to go back to, oh, hold on. Oh, that's funny. Hold on, family. Yes, my brother. All right, I'm getting ready. Come on, I'm doing the show now. I'm going to get ready to pick you up in a minute, all right? I'm going to let you into the studio as soon as I'm done reading this post. Yeah, I sent you the link. You need me to send it again? All right, brother. All right. Peace. Well, family, we got a little technical. Let me just take a step back, make sure our brother has this link. So I'm sorry, family. Bear with me. I'm going to leave that page up while I go and get the link for our good brother. So just bear with me, okay? Appreciate your patience. Some things we just can't prepare for they happen, so we gotta be ready to respond to them. So I want to make sure the brother obviously gets in the studio, and he should be good. All right. Okay, so we complain a lot about the millennials or the youth today, and one of the I think about this a lot because Harlem Liberation School is tossing around some ideas for how we're going to intervene meaningfully in the lives of our young people, and I don't want to get into that too much right now because that's not finalized. But it's dawned on me that there's a reason why we see certain differences in some of the young people today. Right now, I'm talking about the boys. I'm talking about the young boys, the teens, the adolescents. And I want to read this to you. I think it helps us to kind of make sense of some of the behavior, misbehavior we see. It reads, "Make no mistake, family, our communities, movements, and organizations need a moral center. From childhood to adolescence, elder male relatives or community members in Harlem taught we young brothers to honor and embody certain foundational principles. They told us that conducting ourselves according to these principles would help to create an environment of order, trust, and respect. They warned us that neglecting these lessons might harm ourselves or our village. It doesn't seem like Black boys are learning these lessons today. Perhaps we need to revisit these things. And by that, I mean perhaps we need to talk about, are these still relevant? Or how do we teach these things? Do we create structures that train our boys? So on and so forth. These lessons included, number one, keep your word and honor your commitments. If for some legitimate reason you cannot keep your word, respectfully communicate that to the appropriate person, right? So this is something that was always repeated. I know I got that from my father. I got that from my football coaches all the time. It's like, yo, if you say you're going to do something, do it. If you can't, things come up. If you can't do it, let the person know you can't do it. But just don't not do it, right? 2, don't repeat information that you have not verified to be true or accurate. That would be not quite gossip necessarily because it could be positive, but it's just saying don't repeat something unless you know it's true, right? Don't repeat something unless you know for sure that it is right and exact. because that can cause some problems down the road for you or other people. 3, don't violently put your hands on a woman. Notice I said violently, because there's times when you should be putting your hand on a woman if you're a brother, right? And that's a whole nother show for a whole nother channel. But we're talking about violently. That we're talking now about domestic violence, beating women up, choking them out, tossing them around, and things of that nature. When I was coming up, that was a very important lesson. That's not to say that domestic violence was not very present when I was coming up, because it was, and I saw it. I saw several instances of it, unfortunately, in public. But I know that I and many of the brothers I roll with were taught that that wasn't cool. I have to also say there were some older brothers that told us that that's the way that you kept a woman in check, that women like that. I raised that to say that when we talk about elders and what they teach, we got to make sure that the elders are teaching us right. Some elders are not teaching the right information. They're teaching backwards and kind of reactionary and kind of harmful sort of lessons. But most of my elders said, man, that's not cool. You don't do that. Number 4, don't volunteer information to law enforcement officials, right? So if the cops pick you up and they drag you to the station and they try, oh, what happened? Who did this? Our position was supposed to be like, I want an attorney. And if you're young, I want my parents. Get my parents here. I'm saying nothing. This keeps you out of any frame-up job, so to speak, right? They're not going to coerce you to say nothing. You're not going to say something that's not true. You're not going to be snitching on somebody you saying you don't know. And because you don't know the law the way an attorney does, no matter how smart you are or think you are, you simply say, I want my parents, I want an attorney present. That protects you, because the Fifth Amendment is clear. Anything you say can and will be used against you. So we were taught that. Whether it was by an OG if you were in a gang, whether it was by your dad who was streetwise, your uncles, your coaches, they told you, you see something, you stay out of that. It was kind of a way of saying, mind your business. Don't get involved in people's business, right? Keep your nose clean. Number 5, refrain from being loud, brash, or boastful, right? Now, in Harlem, it was really, really big thing to be cool. It was considered, be a cool brother. I'm one of these brothers begging for attention, got to be seen, always in the spotlight, always running their mouth, always the loudest thing on the block. It's supposed to be cool. That's how I know. That's how what was taught to me. And they said that being loud and brash and boastful attracted negative attention as well. They said that marked you for people who might want to rob you, people that might want to take your stuff, beat you up, or it just put a target on your back as somebody undesirable. Now, of course, there were some girls that liked those type of guys. There were some dudes that rocked with people, but I'm just telling you how I was taught, and a lot of brothers I know were taught at this time. None of this is written in stone, family. It's all relative. Other people in Harlem will tell you they was taught the exact opposite of some of these things, right? That's their experience. Number 6, kind of related to number 5, listen and observe. Listen more than you speak. That you should not be running your mouth all day long. Because if you're running your mouth all day long, that means you're never able to be quiet and observe what's going on. If you can't observe what's going on, you're going to be deaf, dumb, and blind, right? Only a fool doesn't get that. Like, sometimes you got to be quiet and observe what's going on. Doesn't mean that you can't talk, but no, there's a time to talk, there's a time to be quiet. Now remember, this was for boys. I think that at that time, I don't know if this is be considered sexist now or gendered in some negative way, but there was the presumption that it was okay for women to be more talkative in that way, that brothers were supposed to be a little bit more in the pocket, right? So I don't know how that goes over today, but that's how it was. What else? Number 7, very important. A lot of people were taught to fight members of the village. A lot of our people have records of beating people in the village up, people that look like them. We were taught stand up for weak and vulnerable members of the village. In other words, you don't fight and pick on the people in the village. You stand up for them, particularly the weak and vulnerable. Why? Well, because the dude that knows how to fight doesn't need your help as much. But the elders, the old, it was a time we saw an old lady and she had bags from laundry or for the grocery store. you would help, you would assist. So standing up doesn't always mean in a violent way. It means that you be helpful. If you see that people are struggling, somebody's disabled in the community or old, significantly old, or, maybe the little children, you see them alone and you know them in your building, you don't see them with no adults, you be like, yo, what's up? Where's your mommy and daddy at? Where are the people watching you? You inquire, you make sure they're all right. You want to make sure that they're okay, right? For the weak and the vulnerable. If there's people in your hood that are mentally challenged and they have some issues in that way, and you know that they're supposed to be tended to by some type of worker, and you don't see anybody around, you might inquire, you all right? Everything good? You check on them, right? Okay. Number 8, very important. Share your resources with those village members in need. My grandmother used to say, your food tastes better when you share it with other people. Now, obviously, we know scientifically that's not true, but she's making a point that, it's good. It's a good thing to share stuff. Don't be the type that you eat a full gourmet meal and there's people around you dead starving. You share. You always share. And even if that means you have to give up a little bit of what you have, you don't let your village members go without, particularly things like food, right? Number 9, be respectful and protective of children and elders. I think to a large degree, most of us would agree with that today. I just think it was more of a established understanding back around the time I was a teen, let's say in the 80s. It was a little bit more of an understanding. And one of the reasons crack was so devastating to us was that crack destroyed and challenged that rule. Because once people are addicted, they don't care about their kids. Once people are addicted, they don't care about knocking an old person over the head to get their money so they can get crack. So that was very important. And as we go through these quickly, I'm almost done. We're going to bring Sharif on in a minute. I want you to think about how would our communities be different if these were some of the rules people abided by. Just think about that. Because a sister responded to this. She's like, yo, if people did this, we'd be good. Yeah. So these are not just pulled out the air. These elders that taught this were wise and discerning. They had seen things. They had been through things. And they came with these for a reason, these rules. 10, refrain from speaking negatively about someone in their absence. Now, this is gossip, right? And we know what happens with gossip. The person says, I won't tell. Don't show anybody. I won't tell. Of course they're going to go tell. As soon as they get a chance, they're going to go tell. Especially the people that's really turned on by gossip. They're definitely going to go tell the person, or somebody else, that what you said is going to go back to you. The person's going to come see you, and then there's a fight or argument. You know how it goes. So the best thing to do is just don't say anything. Matter of fact, if someone is not there, say something nice about them. Because chances are everything about them isn't bad. Say something nice about them in their absence. If you guys say something critical, say it to the person themselves so they could be a better person. And this way you don't become a gossiper, which all the major religions and spiritual faiths say don't do. So apparently it's not something we should participate in. Number 11. This is important, particularly for those in the community that was involved with criminal activities. But it says, don't allow someone else to be punished for something you did. That means put our big boy and girl drawers on. That means you see somebody getting chewed out for something or getting blamed for something. Some people just sit there knowing that they did it or failed to do it and let the person get chewed out. And that's wrong. What you're supposed to say, no, auntie, that was me. I left that out. It's my bad. And you know what? Most of our people know that people make mistakes. So if you just say, no, that wasn't her. That was me. I did that. I'm sorry. I did this, and that. I wasn't thinking. And always end with this. And I'll work hard to make sure it doesn't happen again. Because that gives us a sense that you understand that what you did may not have been the worst thing in the world, but it's something about it that's not good. And you're going to work not to repeat it. That's a good thing. All adults want to hear that, right? Number 12, be authentic, never phony. I think that's self-explanatory. That means if you're not a dude that's really body about bringing the guns out, don't act like you are. If you're not really this real sexual person, don't be in with your boys talking about all this sexual conduct. You know you didn't do that. Just don't do that, right? Be yourself, right? 13, be polite. Be polite. There was a time when a gangster, a killer, and a drug dealer could come around your mother, could have just robbed somebody, just shot somebody, and come around and see your mother, you're going, oh, How you doing, Miss Brown? You need help with them bags? Be just as, and you be looking at you just as gentlemanly and nice. It was a different time, but there was a code. There was a sense like, nah, we're gonna be polite, and we're gonna especially be polite around elders. I remember some of my father's friends sometimes be George, and they'd say a curse, and they'd say, oh, sorry, little George. They call me little George. Sorry, little George, my bad. Right? In other words, there was this idea that being polite is a thing. It's important. Today, that's out the window. People, you'll hear some of the worst things in the world on the street, in the homes, in the church, everywhere. That rule is way gone. But there was a time when around women and children, people would actually apologize, family. Can you imagine that today? I'm sorry. Pardon my language. And then number 14, show up. Fathers need to hear this. Workers need to hear this. Whoever needs it, show up. Be where you're supposed to be. If you're in the military, the armed forces, you know, one of those, that first general order, right? You never leave your post, right? Unless you're properly relieved, right? Yeah, it means that be where you are committed to be. That means if you're supposed to be studying student, take your ass to the library and study. It means if this is your time to relax, you know you tired, you know you got to get up later, rest. You supposed to be resting, right? If it means that you need to talk to somebody, apologize, be there. Do what you're supposed to be doing at any given time of the day. And life will be a lot more beautiful for you. Now, let's get back. Thank you for listening, brother. Now, brothers and sisters, this brother we going to bring on. He is no guest in the sense that, like you say, like your cousin comes over, you know him for years, and you say, oh, you ain't no guest, man. Go in the fridge and get what you want. Right? They like more like family. So me and this brother go back, I'm going to say about 30 odd years. You see, we both got that white stuff going on right here, family. We ain't no spring chickens, all right? We go back to the Syracuse University days, the community of Syracuse. His brother was very active with the 5% Nation of Gods and Earths at the time. And he was also very active with Kung Fu. And one of the things that I admire about our brother is that, and that's brother Sharif, by the way, and Sharif Bey. One of the things I admire is that he stayed the course. See, and for young people, if you stay the course, if you can stay with one thing long enough and you really devote and put that time into practice when everybody else is bullshitting, part of my language, and talking shit, ain't doing it, you stay with it. You know what's going to happen? In 10, 15, 20, 30 years, you're going to master something. When you write, they're going to be like, whoa. When you speak, when you get into your katas, when you're doing your stuff, they'll be like, whoa, this brother here is a master in terms of Kung Fu. I don't know. I'm not as well versed as he is on the specifics, and he could probably get into it. But Kung Fu, he was doing that back in 1986, 87. I remember I went to a few of his classes. He was showing me. I was like, I don't know. I'm not familiar with this. He was showing me a little bit. So he stayed with that. And though he's changed certain schools of thought, maybe from 5%, now he's a Moor, notice he's still staying in the vein of knowledge itself, black organization. It's a nationalist kind of organization, their own way of doing things, their own way of looking at economics, looking at family. And so you have to applaud that, family. It's something to be said for. It's not to say you can't do other things, but stay the course. Stay long enough to get really proficient in something. You could be a greater resource to the neighborhood. With that said, I want to bring on my good brother Sharif Bey. What's up, good brother?
Peace, brother, man. How are you?
Peace. Islam, my brother. You know, I know the vernacular. Islam.
Islam. It's peace. It all means the same thing.
Yes, sir.
Peace.
Yes,
peace.
sir, man. It's good to see you, brother.
Brother, likewise, brother. It's good to see you. I want to say to your viewers, I just want to get this out of the way. Myself and a number of other brothers coming into Syracuse University and, being a new part of the Syracuse community, let me tell you, viewers, Brother AJ was a giant to us. You understand? I'm not being patronizing. I'm telling you just the flat out truth. He and a few other brothers were very, very, very instrumental in shaping a number of us, shaping how we thought. You know what I'm saying? Very instrumental. I see my brother Ishmael Bey can attest to it. He could definitely attest to it. So, he was there as well. But Brother AJ And his work on Syracuse University campus inspired many of us. It inspired us because he wasn't just talking. You know, Brother IJ was about that action. You know what I'm saying? He was about that action. And he understood that power concedes nothing without a demand. You know?
That's real.
Yeah, yes, sir.
That's real. Hey, man, I appreciate it, my brother. We were blessed to be alive and in the same place at a magical time. It was magical. And for people who weren't there, I don't know if you ever had this experience, Sharif, when you're trying to recall incidents and you're like, whoa. It's like, if you weren't there, it may seem like dudes you sat down and wrote this all up in a script like this couldn't have happened, but it was really magical. I mean, we bringing Farrakhan in, we got Khalid Muhammad is coming through, all these big time heavyweight giants that the white man was scared to death of and we loved, and they came through, go out to dinner with them and kicking it with them. The brothers, Brother Sharif is an example. Highly intellectual, well-informed, well-read, and he'll bust your ass if you need to. And that's important. No, that's important. And athletic. It was a generation where brothers would kick that stuff about black, whatever, right? Be just as polite, cool with the ladies, and knew how to throw them hands if we had to. There's nobody shooting nobody. We gonna meet up, we're gonna shoot them hands. And if the white students were bothering the black students on campus, quiet as kept, a few people know what I'm talking about, they got dealt with. We paid special visits to some white students on campus. Wasn't this thing of we're gonna just go to the court and it's the university. It was a different era. I'm not trying to get none of y'all in trouble.
we rung doorbells back in those days, bro.
Yes, sir. Directly. Yes, sir. So, Brother Sharif, man, those watching, Brother Sharif is a member of, am I saying Moorish Science Temple, correct?
Yes, sir. Moorish Science Temple America. I'm the national press secretary for the organization, for the Moorish Science Temple America Incorporated, under the leadership of Brother R. Jones Bey and Brother A. Hopkins Bey. Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, one thing that's impressive about the Moors, they're kind of like the Nation of Islam, a 5% Nation. A lot of our black nationalist groups, they're not just in one place. They're pretty spread out around the country, probably even the world. Is that right, Brother Sharif?
That's fact, brother. I mean, there's the movement in and of itself, and the movement in and of itself, it's a come home movement. It's an identity movement. That's what it is. So there's many people that identify as Moorish American. Now, the purpose of the organization is to broadcast that knowledge out to the people. So there's the organization, and then there's the larger movement in terms of identification. You see what I'm saying?
Right. Yes,
and so
sir.
It's similar to the Nation of Islam. The nation, in this respect, the nation's proper name is the laborers for the Lost Foundation of Islam in America. So they term our people, the African diaspora in America, as the Lost Foundation of Islam.
Right. That's right.
Yeah. Now,
right.
Let me just say this as well. Because we all have been conditioned to think of religion in a particular way. Right? So it's a different narrative. When we're saying we're all Muslims, what we're saying is that we are people of peace by nature. Not saying that we all join a mosque or we join a masjid. It's not what's being said here. What's being said is that our innate nature is peace. And so we are a people of peace. If there's no other way to explain that or to illustrate that to people, we could use this as an example. It's 2024, and our people are catching hell. And we still largely don't want salvation or relief unless it includes the people who oppress us as well.
Yeah. That'd take up a whole year of shows. Just that one, dissecting that one statement. That's real. Now, Brother Sharif, let's start at the beginning. Then Brother Sharif family, for those watching, is going to kind of deconstruct some of these misnomers, these misunderstandings, these stereotypes of the Moorish nation. If you're wondering, well, Brother IJ, you're not Moorish. I don't see you wearing no fez. Why you got this Moor on here? Well, family, it's because I'm a Pan-Africanist and I'm a nationalist and I'm a black man that wants to be free. and liberated. And I understand that to do that, it's going to take more than people who think just like IJ Taimba. It's going to take all types of different people, the tribes, man, soul tribes. So I knew this brother for 30 years. I don't care if he come back talking about he's from Mars. It's all right. I don't give a damn what he's talking. As long as he fighting for people who look like us, I'm rocking with him. And we're going to disagree on stuff, and that's all right. I disagree with my mother on some things, and my father. I don't love him no less, right? And I'm going to come to their aid no matter what. It's the same thing. So for those of you all who are confused, we're not into that type of narrow nationalism, right? We're into bringing the family together. And personally, Brother Sharif, I'm into sovereignty. I'm into a construct where it can almost be like a confederation, where it could be room for the Moors got their I don't know if it would be a mini nation or nation, but they have their piece there. The straight up black nationalists have their thing there, and we're all part of one kind of confederation, like in Star Wars.
No, what's wrong with that?
I think that's a good thing.
I'm glad you brought that up. See, many of us, even in our organization, here's the one thing we all have in common. We all have the same common American experience. We all got that. We all have the same indoctrination of European psychology. We all got that. So in that respect, we don't think like what is the word? I'm not sure. I mean, it comes from the continent, the African continent, but the word is Ubuntu, right? I am because we are, right? Okay. As opposed to the separation and categorization mindset, the linear categorization and separation mindset that we learned under the European psychology, which is either or. See what I'm saying?
That's right.
Which is, well, I can't rock with AJ because AJ is black nationalist, and we say black court science means death, so we don't rock with that word black, so I can't mess with AJ.
A lot of people are stuck on that, Sharif. There's people that's stuck on that black thing. I'm like, y'all too stuck on the language. Understand what they're trying to say.
Thank you. And it's gangbanging either way. If I'm on RJ's side saying I can't rock with the Moors, man, because they act like they better than us because they don't say black and blah, 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 blah. It's still the same thing. We're all the same people. We forget the obvious. We forget what's most important.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? We forget what's most important, right? So we've got, here, follow my example. There's a door. Door is a doorknob. You use that to go from one room to another. Now, a Spanish speaker is not going to say door. He's going to say la puerta, right? Well, which one is wrong?
That's right.
You see what I'm saying? Which one is wrong? Here's the thing. Both of those terms describe an object. The object don't change because we're using two different words, does it?
Not at all.
Okay. It doesn't change.
You say
right?
nigga, knucklehead, fool. You're describing the same phenomenon. Some people have a problem with some of the language used.
Right.
But
follow me. What if I call that door a bucket? Okay, now we might have some issues.
Yeah, now we're gonna be calling the hospital.
There you go. But hold on. But right. But hold on. But if the objective is for me to get to know my brother and work with my brother, right? And he keeps calling the door a bucket. Am I gonna beef with him about it, or am I just gonna use the door?
Boom.
See what I'm saying? And then in time, maybe he sees, you know what? Maybe there's a better word to describe that thing.
Right. That's right. Don't keep hitting them on the head with that.
Stop me. Right. It's not going to stop me from dealing with my brother or my sister. It can't, because you see, because the word isn't the thing. How about that? The word describes the thing. The word points to it. You see what I'm saying?
I think, Brother Sharif, this is an example of I'm really trying to start getting a wider demographic of reaching teens and adolescents, because I want them to know that the people you see now they weren't this way when they were 18. I'm pretty sure that Brother Sharif, you were more hardline with, you don't know your lessons, fam? You wait,
already know.
What's today's mathematics?
You already know.
You're getting a universal, right? Now you realize you're older. You realize I'm not gonna, this is the purpose of this is not to beat nobody up. It's not to hurt. It's to enlighten them. So what I'll do is I say, brother, come to the side. Next time when you come out here, make sure you know your stuff, bro. Right?
And see, it
So
goes to purpose. It goes to purpose. Our purpose changes, right? Who comes into, let's say, church or a mosque or a masjid or a temple? Who comes in clean? Nobody comes in clean.
Mm-hmm.
Who comes into a kung fu school already knowing kung fu? You understand what I'm saying? So it's like, in those days, we only knew what we knew. And so in those days when I was young, yeah, I was half a hot shot. Yeah, I was gunslinging. Yeah, of course. You ain't know your lessons. You was one word off. Oh yeah, it was a problem. Why? Because because knowing it that and being that sharp made me feel personally powerful. And it was at a time when I was powerless or felt powerless. So of course I'm gonna be a little extra. Of course I'm gonna, but you give it time, you grow, you develop. Man's God today, tomorrow is not God. Man's ideal is his God. You were talking earlier about, hey, if I'm thinking too much about money, that's my God. If I'm thinking or obsessed too much about sex, that's my God. That's who I serve. Hence, that's my religion. You see what I'm saying? And so as you grow and mature, hopefully you're maturing and developing. What your idea was yesterday is not your idea today. You see?
Yeah. And you're not trying to be so punitive and
right.
Catch people out there and be corrective. Or your goal is to help people, point them towards liberation, however you define that. Right? So it takes I don't want to say soft in like a wussy approach, but soft like in terms of a more spiritually aligned approach, a loving approach. Let's say it that way.
That's right, brother.
Brother Sharif, a lot of people don't even know about Prophet Noble Drew Ali. I know a little something because of my, trek through Africana studies and stuff and being in Harlem.
Yes, sir.
Could you tell us, we know about Garvey, but we don't know about his contemporary.
There you go.
His peer.
There you
go. Could you tell us about Noble Drew Ali? Why was he important?
Absolutely, brother, man. First, honest to the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey. Honest to him. In our organization, the Moorish Science Civil America, we say he was the forerunner, right? He paved and I don't mean forerunner like, okay, he handled Prophet Drew Ali's light work. No. Meaning he laid a foundation. He did. Marcus Mosiah Garvey, man, the foundation that man laid and the work that he put in, we still don't fully appreciate it, or in a position to fully appreciate it, right? One of the things he said, this is deep, and this goes back to what we were saying before, Brother Ajay. One of the things that Garvey said was the propensity of the Negro is to disobey orders coming from himself. That's crazy, right?
Say that again, brother, please. Say that, please. I'm begging you.
The propensity of the Negro is to disobey orders coming from himself. You see? And here's the other part. We say about Marcus Garvey as a forerunner, we say that nothing can pull down the mountains or raise up the valleys. In other words, make things equal, like purity. Before love can come, purity has to pave the way. Ain't no purity, you won't see no love. See? And so Marcus Garvey brought purity. His whole thing was, okay, you want us to live together? That's cool. We gotta make things even first. We gotta make things even first. We're not gonna be on
bread.
What you did. Yeah, we ain't gonna be on this forget what you did.
That's right.
Nah, we're gonna make it right first. So there's cleanliness and purity has to come first, right? Now, purity also means we gotta clean up. It means we gotta clean up as well. So that being said, Prophet Noble Drew Ali his work, the major part of his work came on the heels of Marcus Garvey. Even though he started in 1913, the major part of his work in the Chicago era, starting 1925, right? From 1925 to 1929. What Prophet Noble Drew Ali, he did a lot of things. But one of the main things that we would like as members of the organization for the public to know, I'll give one instance. 1928 was an election year. Notice I said 1928. The very first of our people elected to Congress since Reconstruction was Oscar the Priest. And it was the Moorish Science Temple of America under the leadership of Prophet Noble Drew Ali that largely made that possible in 1928. How did he make it possible? He organized a national vote block. Okay? He called it a free national ballot. Wait a minute, Brother Sharif. Black people were voting in 1928. Yes.
That's right.
Yes.
We had the so-called constitutional right at that point.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Right. But in this particular case, what made it significant was this. It wasn't the way we see things today, which is backwards. What Prophet Drew Ali did first was organize people. He organized over 3,000 in Chicago alone and got them registered, and then developed an agenda to address our issues. He organized them based on common ancestry and common American experience. Right? Addressed the issues, developed an agenda to address the issues, and then got sufficient voting power behind the issues.
So
in other words,
today we would call it almost like a racial block in a sense.
That's literally what it was, brother.
He
In other words, he utilized the American system in the purest way. He out-Americanized most Americans.
Yeah, got you.
But he did.
Yeah. He used their tools to his and our advantage. Me and the Queen were just talking about that the other day.
Yes, sir.
About a lot of nationalists, just like their stereotypes of the Moors, their stereotypes of the black nationalists, like if I don't brush my teeth because the toothpaste is white, the real crazy stuff. I don't wash because the soap is white, crazy stuff. But some of us understand the political system is there. It's there. It ain't going nowhere, and it's being used to oppress us. They got discretionary funds. They regulate some jobs and businesses. Why not get involved in that system? If for no other reason, try to get some type of concessions and learn how to rule. Learn how people govern.
Come on, brother. That's a fact.
So yeah.
It's deep that you say that. Prophet
now wait. Now I want to make sure I don't want to deviate because I know people.
Sure.
People watching live, there's always going to be a lot of people, Brother Sharif, that come later. We just did a video, 5 people watched it live, 300 watched it in 2 days. I know a lot of people will say, okay, they talking about the myths. I want to make sure that we cover it. What are some myths about Noble Drew Ali that are there any that you want to check and say, no, that's not true? Or about the Moors in general? Because there's a lot. I hear a lot from people. They have a very small understanding. Yeah.
So what I just described eradicates or challenges a lot of the myths that I'll say. Here's one of the myths. When Prophet Noble Drew Ali he actually said during the first convention in 1928, I now declare you to be a nation within a nation. He actually said that. The misconception is, the Moorish Science Temple of America is a separate organization or a separate nation from the United States, and it's autonomous. And the United States has no jurisdiction over the Moors, can't pay taxes, don't go to court. All that's myth.
Yeah.
All of that.
Wait a minute, brother. You mean I can't do a special thing like this in court and the judge will let me go off my murder case?
I wish it was that easy. I wish it was. And let's keep it a buck, right? We have a divine prophet just to teach us a few hand signs and some funny things to put on a piece of paper. Come on, people. Way bigger than that, right? So that dispels that fact of history that he and thousands of his followers participated in the American political process to their benefit successfully. During a time when they were still lynching people and the reckless eyeball laws were still on the books. You got to put that in context.
Oh, yeah. And there wasn't a whole heap of black people taking advantage of that right to vote back then either, because the Klan was huge.
Brother, let me tell you, in the city of Chicago, they had, especially on the South Side, they had what they called pineapple elections. Do you know what that was?
I do not.
Pineapple elections were where the mob and other national groups, nations within a nation, Irish Americans, German Americans, Italian Americans, whatever, right? When other national groups would bomb polling locations in Asia, in our neighborhoods, with pineapple grenades. Yeah, so it wasn't so, I'm just going to go vote today.
Yeah.
Wow. Wasn't like that.
That's interesting.
So to have over 3,000 with these on their heads, saying, hey, don't call me Negro, don't call me that, nah, right? And then headed out to vote, that was something to see, bro. Now, here's another thing that is very important about Prophet Noble Drew Ali. I wanted to kind of go back a little bit, but it also addressed myths. He brought what Dr. What's the brother's name? Kaba
Kameni.
I like how he puts it. Brother Kaba Kameni, when he talks about Moorish history, he says it's episodic history. Agreed. Prophet Noble Drew Ali brought a few episodes of hidden history, but they were key episodes of hidden history. Whenever we start to, even in Africana studies, we start talking about the origins of the African transatlantic slave trade. How often is the year 1442 brought up? How often is Pope Eugene IV brought up?
Not very often.
Right. But why is that significant? This is why. 1442 was the year Pope Eugene IV issued an order, a papal bull called Ilias Q. And Ilias Q. granted permission and authority to the Portuguese Christian Order of Mary and Christ. It was a military order to begin raids on the west coast of Africa. And he called it, Pope Eugene IV called it, a new crusade against the Moors. Now, you got to remember, this is 1442. And African Islamic diasporic power still ruled Europe.
Right.
The Europeans were in the middle of, well, not in the middle, but they were embroiled in what's called the Reconquista. In other words, they were trying to retake Europe from us.
Now, at this point, the Moors would have been in control in Spain.
Absolutely.
For those who don't know, Spain, and John Henry Clark has talked about this and written about it at length, and other scholars, but Spain would have been a big outhouse. just of the filth and
brother,
you know, if it wasn't for the Moors bringing civilization to Spain, and for like 400 years, 500 years,
nearly 800, brother, 800. From 711 AD to 1492. Nearly 800 years. We are the reason why the Spanish language has over 2,000 Arabic words. Another thing that's not unknown about this episodic history that Prophet Noble Drew Ali brought. Here we go. We say Asiatic. We use the term Asiatic to describe ours, right? Which another organization also uses too, Nation of Islam, right? Why do we say Asiatic though? This is deep. The reason we say Asiatic, I was just having this conversation with our sister, preeminent scholar Dana Marnici. Her work is excellent, by the way. But many of us that are Afrocentrics, and even Afrocentric scholars, are using terminology and definitions that are therapeutic, reactionary. So European sociologists say Asiatics were mixed and or mixed to pale people. That's a lie. That comes from a European sociologist by the name of Charles Seligman and what he called the Hamitic hypothesis. In other words, the only Negro, according to the Hamitic hypothesis, the true Negro is the sub-Saharan African, period. Anything north of Sahara? Oh no, those are Arabs. Or those are see?
Yeah, that's that BS, yeah. And consequently, they then ascribed the creation of the pyramids and all that technological wonder
that was the whole purpose.
To the Arabs.
Was the purpose, brother AJ. It was birthright stealing, right? So we say Asiatic. See, in other words, many of us to this day believe when you hear the term Arab, you're talking about some other race of people. No. See, what most people would, matter of fact, brother AJ, real quick, if you could, Google, and I'm asking the viewers to do it right now. Google the present, you could Google this, royal executioner for Saudi Arabia.
Royal executioner.
Google it right now.
Okay, Google.
Royal executioner for Saudi Arabia.
Who is the royal executioner for Saudi Arabia?
Find an image.
Mohammed Saad al-Beshi.
Mohammed Saad al-Beshi.
Looking for it. Get an image.
The government of Saudi Arabia since 1998.
I don't have an image. I don't have an. No, I don't see an image.
Hold on. I'm going to do it right now.
Since 98.
I'm going to do it right now. Royal executioner.
Wait a minute. He's really killing people? His job was to kill people?
His job still is.
Wow. Because I'm like, he killed so-and-so.
It's by beheading.
He's killed as many as 10 people in one day, he says. Now, why do you raise him, brother Sharif? Okay. It looks like he could be my uncle.
It looks like your uncle, don't
it? Yes, sir. It could be.
That's
absolutely.
A pure Arab, brother. That's a pure Arab. The point being, original Arabs are Africoid phenotype, even today.
Right.
So it's a part of birthright stealing, and it's a part of the racial shuffle game to say, oh, the Moors weren't you, the Moors are Arabs. That wasn't you.
Right. But you know what? Every now and then the white man slips up. And in his movies, there's a movie, brother Sharif. I don't know if you saw it. It's one of the Robin Hood movies with Kevin Costner. And Morgan Freeman is the Moor, right?
The Moor.
Oh, brother. He was brilliantly technological. He had a telescope. he would hit his ear to the ground. He said, why are you putting your ear on the ground? He said, so I can hear the horses. I can hear them coming. And the white boy was completely uncivilized and ignorant. And Morgan Freeman had all types of gunpowder and he was messing them up. And I was like, that's the truth. They're showing you part of the truth.
That is accurate. But again, that's going back to what Brother Kaba Khamenei, that's episodic history. We don't realize that we're not taught, we're socialized into believing that period of history has nothing to do with quote unquote black people in America. See, we don't know that the fall of our people in Spain is directly related to the beginnings of the African transatlantic slave trade. Dr. Yosef Ben Yakinen openly says, and he repeatedly says, written and verbally said, that the first African slaves during the slave trade in America didn't come from the continent. They came from Spain. They came from Spain. And it wasn't 1619. It was over 100 years prior. Right? Even the 1619 date, they talk about the 20-some-odd Negroes being bought, right? By the European settlers, the English settlers in Jamestown, right?
Right.
Most of the time, if you ask somebody who they buy them from, they don't know. Well, if you find out, they were buying them from Portuguese traders. Back to what I said about the Papal Bull in 1442. Bro,
yeah, Dr. Ben talks about
the slavery issue did not begin as commerce. It began as warfare that later became commerce. That's the missing episode, people. We are descendants of POWs.
So they were caught, their tribe or their nation lost, and they were then taken as slaves, correct?
And also, too, even the slave part, brother, was just, sometimes, how it is in the street, right? Back in the day, you scuff somebody's sneaker, you might get punched in the mouth.
Mm-hmm.
And you might believe that they were a little extra when they were just letting you know how important that was to them.
Right.
If you Google white slavery right now, and remember, we just dispelled the whole myth about Arabs being separate from so-called black people.
Mm-hmm.
If you Google
white you can't tell them that.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. But if you Google white slavery right now, it is well documented, extremely well documented, that our forefathers enslaved them first. But that's never connected to our people in America. Why? Because the image of white supremacy is that you have to give the impression that they were always superior. But J.B. Stoner, at the time, was the Grand Dragon for the KKK, wrote a letter to Elijah Muhammad that was published. He put a copy of it in Message to the Black Man. And J.B. Stoner openly said it. He said it to Elijah. He said, yeah, Islam is an N-word religion. It's an N-word religion. And, your forefathers, did what they did to us under the banner of Islam. They enslaved us. In other words, the knowledge of the fact that we enslaved them first is what fuels white supremacy.
It's personal.
It's personal.
Not just commercial, and it's personal.
Right.
Right. I got you.
You see what I'm saying? It fuels it. And the absence of this episodic history ill-equips us to be able to fully understand what's going on.
Now, Brother Sharif, the Moorish Science Temple is seen, at least as most of our historians, as nationalistic.
Yes, it is.
So nation, could you explain to people the importance of this concept of nation, how you see yourselves as a nation, why that's important?
Yes. Nation. So like Prophet Noble Drew in 1928 stated that we are a nation within a nation. We have to, now to understand this properly, we have to understand it within the context of true core American values. In the old world, to be an Italian citizen, to qualify to be an Italian citizen, you got to be Italian. It's old world. So it's based on blood, based on ethnicity. In America, it's the new world. In the new world, it's based on the prerequisite is based on a belief that one nation can be formed, made up of people of many different old world connections. Understand?
Yeah.
That is the American ideal. All right. So it's not so much of a melting pot per se. It's more of like a salad, right? You have Irish Americans that come here, English Americans, German Americans. What are they all? Nations within the nation. Get it?
Do I?
Nations within the nation. Now, what about our people? Oh, well, we come from different tribes from all over West Africa and blah, blah, blah. Hold on. This is why we talk about nationality. Okay. The power, the African power that controlled Spain for nearly 800 years was not one ethnic group, was not one tribe. It was multi-ethnic, multi-tribal, all African. It was an African diasporic socio-political entity. That diaspora, that diasporic nature and complexion is reflected where? In America.
Absolutely.
You see, that's why we say, what is our nationality? Why? Because nationality is inclusive of tribes, inclusive of, get it?
Kind of like what I was talking about earlier. This configuration where everybody has a seat at the table and they can still be themselves within their nation, right?
Get it? That is why in our additional laws in the Moorish Science Temple of America, we say, You know, all members are making a public speech must not use any assertion against the American flag, nor speak radical against the church or any member of any organized group.
Mm-hmm.
We're a part of the great program to uplift fallen humanity.
Garvey
We're
says something
supposed
like
to be
that
working.
too.
Yeah, we're supposed to be working with the Pan-Africanists. We're supposed to be, bro.
Now, Brother Sharif, I would imagine that, like with me, there are people that come to me that think I have this narrow nationalistic view. I only work with people that's a certain shade of black, and only work. You got to have an African name. You got to have the best dashikis. I would imagine that people hold these stereotypes until they meet somebody who helps them understand that it's a lot more sophisticated and deluxe than that, right?
Yes.
I'm curious to know, do you have beef with the people who say black power, we black, and you'll say no, the black means, and they say nah. Do y'all have beef with them? Do you think that that's overplayed, overdone?
It's a great question.
Mm-hmm.
It's largely overplayed, but human weakness is human weakness. I don't care what organization you belong to.
Mm-hmm.
So, just like you have people on the RBG side that are like, man, it's RBG or nothing. Man, listen, you know, black power, black power, black power. And if you're not about that, I ain't rocking with you. Right?
Mm-hmm.
We got that in the Moorish movement as well. Oh, wait a minute. Wait, you wearing too much black. Black according to science means death, man. I got to stay away from you. Oh, you call yourself black? Nah, I can't. No, you belong to an organization that says black? Nah, I can't. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So we have that too, but that's all, again, it's human weakness.
That's right.
And ideally, prayerfully, people grow out of their human weakness. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Ideally, they grow out of it. So is there beef? No, I wouldn't say that there's beef. Is there misunderstanding? Yes. But the misunderstanding isn't so much as my misunderstanding of Brother Ajay. The misunderstanding is my misunderstanding of Prophet Ali's teaching.
Right.
Because we may say black quote science means death and this and the third and all those things. Okay. But Prophet Noble Ali said that Marcus Garvey was the forerunner. We give him high honor. And he was the founder of an organization called the United Negro Improvement Association.
That's right.
Okay.
That is correct. Okay.
See?
Now there's a belief amongst some that, and this is a belief about many black nationalistic or nationalistic groups.
Yes.
That women that are Moors are repressed. They got to walk 100 steps behind Sharif. When Sharif come through, they got to walk 100 steps behind him. They got to, serve his food and clean the bathroom with a toothbrush.
I'm so glad you brought that up.
Could you address that,
powerful.
brother?
That's a very powerful point or question. Here we go. Prophet Noble Ali wasn't just an innovator. Man, oh my goodness. He was an innovator on so many levels when it comes to that. First and foremost, the gender issue is not an Islamic issue. The subjugation of women has nothing to do with Islam. That has everything to do with Saudi Arabian culture. I can prove it many different ways. Here's one way. The country of Turkey. Turkey has had, I think 2 women leaders of the nation. And they're an Islamic country. See? So that's not Islam. Has nothing to do with Islam. Has nothing to do with being Moorish. Now, on the other side, Prophet Noble Ali in 1928, there were sisters, women, running temples. They were the head of the temple. Now, I'm going to show you why that's so significant. That was 1928. It was just 8 years after the European, through the vote, gave his own woman the power to vote.
That's right. He gave black men the right to vote before he gave white women the right to vote.
How about that?
That's correct.
Okay. Now, in 1928, they weren't letting women behind the pulpit.
And some still ain't.
Still ain't. How about that?
I ain't gonna call no names amongst our organizations, but yeah. All men in leadership.
Yeah. You see? Yeah. So
He's
Prophet
ahead
Noble
of his
Drew
time
Ali,
in that respect.
absolutely,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely, absolutely. He taught us we have to have a greater appreciation for womanhood, greater appreciation for it. But he didn't just say it; he demonstrated it.
Mm-hmm. So he
Yeah,
actually had sisters that were running. What do you call? You call them temples,
yes, sir.
mosques?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Temples. Oh,
temples.
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, Sister Doville, Sister Whitehead. Oh, my, there were a number of them. Sister Alsop Bay, and I'm talking in 1928. We still have it today. If you go to the website right now, you see it. MSTA1913.org. You see it.
Okay.
See
Very.
how
That's
many
very
women
good.
run whole temples, and how many women are in national leadership. That's right.
Okay. That's definitely demonstrative when you have the not just treat women fair, but they're in leadership positions.
Their leadership.
That says a lot. That says a lot. We still have some Black Baptist denominations and churches that man, don't hold your breath, sisters, because they are not letting you up in that pulpit. You better know that.
Right.
That's too
Right.
bad.
Right.
Okay, now could you explain the fez that you wear, Brother Sharif?
Absolutely.
What that's
Absolutely.
about?
The fez is indicative of and relative to that episodic history and missing history and cultural expression. The fez is both religious and cultural, right? Religious and cultural. So remember I was talking about core American values, okay? The ideal that one nation can exist made up of people from different other old world connections or old world descent natures means that their old world connection via culture is a contribution to American society. Understand? So when all you know about your history is up from slavery, the only contribution you can make is what? See? So that means even with $1 billion in your pocket, in 2024, you're still seen as a descendant of products of American commerce, or a POW at best, as opposed to a contributor to the American experience in a positive way. So, you understand? So the fez is representative. It's visually and culturally representative of me being connected to that missing history. See? That's what it is. Being connected to the missing history. And
go ahead. Go ahead, Brother Sharif. Go ahead.
No, I was done.
Oh, okay. I'm curious to know, because I know you're and first of all, because I don't want to misrepresent you spend 20, 30 years doing something. You don't want somebody to come around misrepresenting what you do. So what is it? I know you run a school in Syracuse, correct?
Yes, sir.
And I know that you have some type of position in an international Kung Fu organization. Is that right?
Absolutely.
Could you tell us kind of your affiliation with Kung Fu, how many years you've done it, your designation in it, and also as Moors,
yes,
is that something that is promoted, martial arts, self-defense? That would be good too. Mm-hmm.
So my I'm a lifelong martial artist. I've been doing martial arts since age 5. I've been with my president instructor in our association since the 80s. And wow. Yeah, I run the upstate New York headquarters for our worldwide association. Our association has branches, nearly 30 branches all over the world. Kung Fu, real quick, is just a slang word for any of the hundreds of martial arts that come from China. So I do a particular style of Kung Fu, right? And that particular style of Kung Fu is what I teach. What else? Yeah, that's it. Pretty much. I mean, I do it full time. It's my profession. I've trained. We don't do a ton of competitions, but I've trained 4 world champions. My first was a woman, and I'm talking world champion as in full contact fighting. We also train. We train military. We've done some military training and law enforcement training as well. Now, as far as it related to the Moorish movement, Martial culture has always been a part of Moorish history. Always. As a matter of fact, the latter part of our occupation of Spain, the martial culture started to degrade, which is also what helped the European reconquista to gain power. Okay? This is actual fact. Yeah, our martial culture began to wane during the latter parts of Moorish occupation of Europe, specifically with the Abbasids, when the Abbasids took power. Okay, so it's important and significant. Is it as widespread as it should be in the Moorish movement? No, but it is. It's definitely gaining traction. Absolutely.
And thank you for this, Sharif. Also, do you have dietary restrictions or prohibitions as a Moor? Like, for instance, can you go ahead and tear up some pork chops right now after this and it's cool with the Moors? Or is it like, any Muslim? You know what I'm saying?
Right. So, and then I want to explain, right? Before I touch on that, when we say as a Moor, I want the audience to be very clear. Right? Like the analogy I gave before about the door or using the Spanish word la puerta, we're still talking about the same thing. Right? So when we say as a Moor, that's like saying as a Chinese person, as a Japanese person. Get it? So being a Moor is not ascribing to a particular religion per se. It's not. Moorish is not a religion. It's a nationality. That's what it is. Like Chinese American, Japanese American, Italian American, Moorish American. Boom. See? Now, as a Muslim, you're correct. There are dietary rules. Correct. Yes, there are. Very important. Okay. That's significant. It's important. But now, Islam, as we practice it, and is also part of real Islamic law. Islamic law mandates and dictates that you respect the laws of your country in your practice. So Prophet Noble Drali said it this way: we foster the religion in as much as it is applicable to American life. So you don't see us with 3 or 4 or 5 wives.
Got you.
You see what I'm saying? Yeah.
And definitely get you arrested for bigamy. That's for
Actual
sure.
Fact. Actual fact.
In this country, yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Yes, sir.
I get that. Now, what about how do you get along with let's say other Muslim-oriented groups like the Nation of Islam, 5% Nation of God, the Gods and Herbs, or do you all have working relationships with them, or is there ideological?
Let's take those two. Let's take those two groups. There's always, again, like I said, anytime you see things that divide people, it's always a result of human weakness. I mean, I'm going to repeat that. Anytime you see things that divide and separate people, it's always a result of human weakness. Like you pointed out, you disagree with your mother. I disagree with my wife on things. That's not cause for divorce.
Right.
It's not cause for dislike. You see what I'm saying? So disagreements cannot be a prerequisite for a lack of unity. That being said, generally, we have great relationships with the nation of Gods and Earths and the Nation of Islam. Despite doctrinal differences, despite some other issues, yeah. Despite them, we still have it. And you know, one of the reasons why, and again, this is Islamic thinking. The word Islam means peace, but what do we mean by peace? Resolution of opposites. When you resolve opposites, you just have one. See that? So, Brother Aj and I, out of 100 things, we disagree on 99 things. We unify on the one thing we agree on. That's Islamic thinking. I don't got to go to a mosque. I don't have to belong to a mosque or a temple. That's Islamic thinking.
Yeah, I mean, Sharif, as you know, I grew up in Harlem.
Yes, sir.
And I, of course, ran into a trillion gods and earths. God knows. Even when I went to Cardinal Hayes, mad gods was in the Cardinal Hayes. And so I knew the lessons, and then my father was teaching me. I was learning on my own too. So one day I went to I was at one of these parliaments in Harriet Tubman School. I didn't really participate, but I was there. And in high school.
Yes, sir.
And his brother was like, God, you want to? I said, no, I'm not really a God. And this other brother, right, whose name was Shaheem, I was tight with from around the way. He's like, nah, he's God. He said, I forget how he said it, but kind of like saying he's unofficially, I don't know, but he was, and I was like, nah, I'm not getting involved with that. I was like, I'm not going to participate. I just want to observe.
I get it.
It's kind of like that. Like, it's saying that you may not be a card carrying member of something, but say that you closely align with, or you understand.
The organization exists for the purpose of uplifting the person, not the other way around.
Right.
So you are who you are. 120 lessons don't make you God.
Gonna be a lot more than that.
You see what I'm saying? The prophet's literature doesn't make you Moorish.
Ah, Sharif, that's perfect timing. Could you hold up the book, The Circle 7?
Absolutely.
Could you break that down? See, so do the Moors go to the I want to say the conventional, traditional Quran, as Muslims would call it, or is the Circle 7 your Quran?
Both. The answer is yes to both. And here's why. The answer is yes to both. Just like in the Nation of Islam, they use the Quran of Mecca. But what comes first as a prerequisite? Their supreme wisdom lessons.
Right.
Okay. Prophet Noble Drew Ali says this: the fallen Asiatic sons and daughters of North America need to learn to love instead of hate, and to learn of their higher self and their lower self. This is the uniting of the Holy Quran of Mecca for the teaching and instructing of all Moorish Americans, etc. What do you mean by that? Here we go. Every other nation of people that have endured slavery as a nation went in as that nation and came out as that nation, except us. We went in as kittens and came out biscuits. So Prophet Noble Drew Ali was tasked with something that no other prophet or avatar or leader was ever tasked with the people, teaching them who they were. You're talking about restoring the identity to a whole contingency of people. So follow me. If you don't have a psychology that benefits you first, when you read that Bible and when you read that Quran, you're still going to be just as clueless. You have to get a reorientation of self first, so you know how to read what it is you're reading. You see what I'm saying? So you know how it is to read. You know you now can process it in a way that benefits you and doesn't harm you. That's why this qualifies us to read the Quran of Mecca. So we read the Quran of Mecca, we hear about heaven and we hear about hell. But remember, we were brought up on the European psychology. So when we read in the Quran of Mecca, this is a great example. How can you doubt Allah when He gave you life, caused you to die, brought you back to life again, and to Him you returned? You ask any of us under the European psychology, what do we relate that to? Death, burial, and resurrection from Judeo-Christianity. Go to India and read the same thing. What will they say? Oh, reincarnation, something totally different.
Mm-hmm.
We have to be given back the narrative of our forefathers first. Then we read the Quran with the right eyes.
Right. It's almost like you're looking at a map and you don't even know the legend or the key of the map. So you lost. Until you got that legend. Then it makes sense. Or
now
when you trying,
you hit it, brother, you hit it right on the nose. So when we read about heaven or hell in the Quran of Mecca or in the Bible, and then we pick up this, and this says, Jesus said, heaven, earth, and hell are not above, around, or below, but within.
Hello.
Heaven is not a place of metes and bounds. It is not a country to be reached. It's a state of mind.
Mm-hmm.
Now we know how to properly read what we're reading.
Speaking of that, Brother Sharif, I'm a big believer that a lot of things come down to culture. And, you know, we were taught, when we were kids, we were taught cultures, what you wear and what you eat. But we know culture is everything. How you think, what turns you on, what leaves you disgusted, what you're ready to kill and die for, all of that.
Yes.
Right? How would you, what aspects of the Moorish culture do you think benefit the people who subscribe to it? What things about the culture?
Beautiful. See, culture is important. It's so important, brother. And religious creed is important. Notice I said religious creed. Follow me. We all know, you do as well as I do. You got family members and friends that have never been to church. But if you tell them that there's no such thing as heaven or hell after you die, they want to fight you. They're cultural Christians. See my point?
Mm-hmm.
In other words, their culture is influenced by the European Judeo-Christianity. See that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So all culture is an extension of religious creed as expressed in a community. Whether you are religious or not is irrelevant. You see? So we want a culture or practice a culture that feeds a mindset that benefits us. Let's take Thanksgiving. That's a cultural hereditament, but does it benefit us?
If we got a turkey farm, maybe.
Maybe. But the principle of what it is we are celebrating, the principle.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, there's the family coming together and all that. That's a beautiful thing. But what is the principle? Is it really a bunch of European pilgrims that were friends with natives and everybody was one big happy family? Is that what it is? Or what was it? See, we know it was something else that was disparaging to our forefathers. So we are inadvertently practicing something that's detrimental now. That's just like hip hop today. You hear something that's, oh, that beat is crazy. Oh, automatically you moving because it's touching something subconscious. You moving, but then the words are there and it's sexy red. Right? So what else is getting in there along with that beat? Bad programming, poison. That's what happens with Thanksgiving. That's what happens with Christmas. That's what happens. So culture is extremely important. But when we have the foundation of the hidden history, the hidden identity, and then what comes with that? Oh, okay, well, how did they live? How did they eat? How did they act? What were some of the, okay, now guess what we get to do in America? Rebuild. We get to build and create customs. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because make no mistake,
that's a key nationalist idea that we have our own institutions, holidays. Yeah,
we create them. If you go to Philadelphia right now, it's an official Philadelphia holiday. Shout out to the Hopkins Bay family, Temple number 11 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. It's an official Philadelphia holiday, October 14th. Moorish American Remembrance Day. It's an official holiday in the city of Philadelphia. When we do the tour, hundreds of fezzes and turbans you see in downtown Philadelphia. We get a police escort, everything.
You're learning a lot about nationalism too.
Yes.
Different expressions of it.
Yes. Yes. In other words, see, our fight is a fight of narratives. That fight is not that we're not American. That fight, our fight is we're just as, if not more. Follow me. We say, how old is our flag, the Moorish flag? It's over 10,000 years old. Well, China's 5,000 years old. That's pretty old. China got, America's 200 and some odd years old. China has pottery shards older.
Oh, yes. America's a baby.
Right. Okay. Now follow me. America's the big, great big social experiment. And here we are right in the middle of it. And I think Prophet Noble Drawley was saying the same thing. I submit this, people. We have not yet seen the true American yet. The cake is still in the oven. The real big beef that we're seeing with Europeans in America today, with the sharp rise in Islamophobia and the sharp rise in overt racial hostility. They both coincide, by the way. And now you know the reason why they coincide. Because their biggest fear was what subjugated them for 800 years in Europe. And it wasn't Islam and it wasn't Africans. It was Islam and Africans.
Good point. Very important point.
Now, that said, right? America was founded not on a Christian religion, but you've got a whole bunch of Europeans now trying to make that the fact. The European evangelicals on the far right.
Yeah, them right wingers.
They're old crusader, brother. Those are old crusader spirits. See what I'm saying? Those are old crusader spirits. Now, core American values say that every American citizen in this country or under this government has two flags. Flag of their birth, the American flag. Flag of their ancestry. See? There's no room for race in there. The whole racial construct thing hijacked American values. And now it is unsustainable. The European
with all this mixing.
Yes. The European is seeing that show is over now. That's why you see the rise in racial hostility, the whole big push to go back to the good old days. Right? The Make America Great Again, meaning post-war America, post-World War II America. That's why you see it.
Brother Sharif, I'm sorry. I want to interrupt you real quick.
Sure.
Put something on the screen. Family, when you have a chance, please Google Project 2025. It's funded by a very ultra-right-wing conservative organization called the Heritage Foundation.
Yes.
And family, and we need to, and it's not that I look up to them or admire them, but you can look at people who you disagree with, don't like, and it'd be a part of their culture. You're like, we need to be doing that. And in this case,
study the ops.
Man, Sharif, they got a whole handbook, a whole philosophy for they're assuming that Trump will be in office. And they're like, this is, when he gets in office, this is the conservative agenda. And if y'all were to read this, it would blow your mind. What they're talking about in terms of schools, what they're talking about in terms of hospitals, what they're talking about in terms of politics. They have a whole, like when he gets in, they know he's not too sharp.
They do know
this
that.
Is everything he needs. Is right. They got a whole handbook for him. And they're thinking ahead. And we have to get to a place where we're doing the same. Everything we complain about, we want to see. Stop talking about, complaining about, put it in existence. Make it happen. Create a culture.
That's a fact.
Yeah, that's like, read that. Look that up, family.
I'm glad you put that up there. I'm glad you did. Okay?
Yeah.
I'm glad you did.
It's something.
You know, let me see this.
You see that
These
comment,
people
Sharif? Can you see it?
Yeah, they're not Sunni Muslims, and Noble Drew Ali wasn't and isn't a prophet of God of Abraham. What these people are talking is blasphemy. Well, here we go. He said they're not Sunni Muslims. Hold on. You ready for this, people? Prophet Muhammad was not a Sunni Muslim. He was a Muslim. There's no such thing as Sunni and Shiite. Come on, people. Stop. Stop. There was no hadith or sunnah. Matter of fact, Prophet Muhammad is said to have said that the best hadith is the Quran. Come on, people. The Quran itself says there was no truth and there was no argument until after truth came. See?
You know what, Brother Sharif?
Yes, sir.
And we're not going. I don't know if this gentleman is on here to troll, but I'm getting it's a bunch of comments back that I'm not going to give him too much shine like that. Okay. But it sounds like it's similar to this. The Christians don't understand that nowhere did Jesus say that what he was teaching was Christianity.
That's a fact.
He didn't say what I'm teaching is Christianity.
He didn't teach Christianity.
He was a reformed Jew. he was reforming Judaism, but he never was. So a lot of times people they like to impose their particular belief on something that happened before their great grandparents were born. Absolutely. And that's tough when you do that, when you go backwards and try to put a history on something that wasn't there.
When you're trying to look at ancient things with modern eyes.
Yeah, that's a difficult thing to try to pull off. So, but brother, Ruben, you're entitled to what you believe, but just so you know, on our channel, on our show, the way we get down is you say what you got to say, share your opinion, but this kind of trying to attack people thing we don't do. Not to mention that this is my family for over 30 years, so we're not doing that. So we're not going to put any more of your comments up, but, you're always welcome, but we don't do that. And as my queen says, she says, your comments must be respectful, even when you disagree, but we're not doing that. Call them Antichrist and all. We're not doing that. Right? We're not doing that. We are too old and seasoned to even get into those type of conversations with you.
The very thing, I respect his comment. I do. Mm-hmm. The very first thing he said, these people are wordsmiths, mm-hmm. right? What that's appealing to people's collective ignorance. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
And that might be one of the myths we're talking about.
Yeah, they're wordsmiths. Words mean things, people.
Yeah.
Words mean things. But back to the topic and what you put up with the Heritage Foundation, very powerful. Let's tie this situation, what we're talking about here domestically, with the identity issue with our people, with the current world situation. Eric Prince, you know who he is? CEO of Blackwater.
Okay.
You know what Blackwater is, right?
No. Please educate us.
Blackwater basically is a private military firm. It's a private army. It's basically.
Wait a minute. Were they in the Ukraine? Are they under the guy from
Blackwater was in New Orleans.
Okay.
When the dam burst, or when the levee burst. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Blackwater was there. See what I'm saying? So Eric Prince has ties with Netanyahu, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Eric Prince was on, and this is stuff that's easily Googleable. You can easily Google it. Eric Prince was recently in an interview, and it's all over the internet, where he openly advocated for the recolonization of Africa.
Mm-hmm.
He did. Look up Eric Prince, recolonize Africa, and watch what pops up. The whole interview pops up.
Mm.
Now, it's interesting that the interview pops up, and then a few weeks later, Netanyahu is doing a press conference where he openly states that he intends on going into Africa, and he literally says, to liberate my African brothers.
Mm.
This is going on right now, people. Hold on. You know what the number one export of Israel is? Export. Diamonds. You know what the problem with that is? There are no diamond mines.
They don't have no diamonds in no damn Israel.
There are no diamond mines in Israel.
Yeah.
Hold on. It gets better. The presence, and we can start to see this now. See, the play is only on football. The play is only secret in the huddle.
Mm-hmm.
When you run the play, everybody sees it.
That's right.
All right, we're starting to see the play run. The presence of the state of Israel serves as the anchor for global European colonialism. Remember, people, America, as it stands now, is a Euro-colonial settler state.
Which is why we keep telling people you're a colonized people.
All right. Let me continue. Domestically, the two major political parties, I'm talking about within, right, as present, I think we can all agree on this. Both parties have been hijacked by political extremism. On the left, what do you see? The so-called left. There's an aggressive push to normalize social deviancy. That's a show by itself. It's a show by itself.
Oh, yeah.
On the so-called right, there's the aggressive push towards open fascism.
Fascism. Yes, I'm glad you said that word.
Insert Christian identity as Americanism.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right? Now, those of you that think that America is a Christian nation, read the words of Thomas Barclay in the Treaty of Tripoli, where he literally says, since the United States is in no way founded on the Christian religion. That's what he says. Okay, now let's continue. The ignoring of and or the defense of the unsustainable caste system that we call color code race classification contributes heavily to the implosion of the American social fabric. Let me now this may be a point of contention.
Oh, now, brother, Sharif, just so we're gonna be ending up in four minutes, okay?
Jeez, okay.
Just yeah.
Let me speed through, bro. Okay.
I just want to make sure you don't miss anything important that you want to get out.
I'm glad you said that. Here we go. The BRICS Alliance. We're familiar. The BRICS Alliance is leading the global de-dollarization process. In other words, what? Before long, you'll see a $20 bill on the floor, on the ground, and you won't bend down to pick it up. That's what's happening right now.
That's right.
That's what's happening right now.
Be using it for heat, lighting it up for heat.
Exactly, or toilet paper. The world is facing the beginning of the end of global Euro-colonialism. The Euro-colonialist status quo has determined that the extermination of millions of Palestinians in Gaza are part of the price to maintain global colonialism. That's what we're looking at, people. Based on the uncanny parallels between the relationship between Israel and the Palestinians and the United States and so-called black people, what we are seeing occur to the Palestinians is something we could probably expect to occur to so-called black people in America for similar reasons. At present, the majority of our people are oblivious to the true root of the present condition and thus cannot formulate a proper response to it. This is what we're all trying to do: address our issues and solve our problems.
Yeah.
That's Absolutely. Why there is no room for us beefing with each other or us pointing out where we differ.
Right.
We got to join hands on where we agree and get busy.
I'm curious, before we start closing, do you believe in, first of all, do you have a linkage with Morocco?
Yes, sir.
In the sense that you have land there, or you can go there as citizens, recognized citizens, have land, do business,
There's some things that I can't talk about at present publicly. Okay. But we do have a connection with the Kingdom of Morocco. The Kingdom of Morocco recognizes and honors the movement. That's a fact.
Okay.
Oh, and
that's
openly
a good
so.
thing.
And openly so.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir. Yes,
okay.
sir. Yes.
Do you believe when I see, let me tell you something, Sharif. When I see rich white folk building their own rockets and getting out of this atmosphere and going to explore the planets, I just say, maybe people were thinking about colonizing somewhere else. Maybe they're thinking America won't be sustainable environmentally or whatever. Do you believe that we should stake our claim just here, or do you think that we as a people should be looking to other places to, I don't want to say colonize, but to settle?
I like the question. We measure time by cycle ages. Our forefathers, the enlightened ones, measured it cyclically. The European status quo measures it linearly.
Mm-hmm.
So those of the present status quo are seeing the current conditions as the beginning of the end. We're seeing it as the beginning of the end of a cycle. That being said, right, I don't believe we've seen the true American emerge yet. The real beef or the real fight, the real struggle in America is what will be the social and, in some cases, the physical complexion of Americanism moving forward.
Oh, wow.
I think we sit right here.
Demographically, yeah. I'm curious. Can let's say my name is Pablito Esperanza.
Yes, sir.
Can I become a Moor?
Let's look at the history, brother.
Mm-hmm.
Let's look at the history. What's the difference between our brothers on the island of Dominica, between Haiti and Dominican Republic? What's the difference? Language.
The language that was imposed.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
That's it, bro. And they were also part of, that's why that missing history includes what happened in the Caribbean prior to 1619.
What if my name is...
The short answer, brother, I'm sorry, the short answer is yes. Because we have a common history.
Yes, sir.
Our brothers, shout out to Joey Crack, right? To Fat Joe. He talked
about... Oh, yeah? What's up with Fat Joe?
Where he did not too long ago, he was speaking and he was talking about, he said, this is what he said, Puerto Ricans are black people.
Hey, I'm glad. I'm glad he knows it. Yes, sir.
That's what he said.
Yes, sir.
So, but think about what I just said. What I said earlier in the show about the period of missing history, about an African power ruling Spain, about an African power, right? Injecting over 2,000 Arabic words into Spanish. Think about the fact that even in the 1800s, the early 1800s, New Spain included Texas, Colorado, and California, and Arizona. Why the country California is named after a sister by the name of Queen Khalifa.
Wow.
Okay, so if we ruled Spain for 800 years and Spain was the first European colonizer of America, who else was here too?
Right.
See? So yeah, those are brothers.
Now, absolutely. What if a stone cold white man came and said, "Where do I sign up, Brother Sharif? I love what you kicking."
I'd be like, praise the Lord. You could definitely be a Muslim, but nationality is nationality. What's your nationality?
What's in your wallet?
What's your nationality?
Oh, that's funny. So no,
we're not encouraging people to be other than what they are.
Right. Okay.
It's be yourself.
Yeah, that makes
be yourself
sense.
And no one else.
Now, Brother Sharif, as we come to a close, first we want to thank you for your time and energy.
Thank you,
your
brother.
Scholarship and the many years you put in. Is there one thing you want to say that you didn't get a chance to say that's on heavy on your mind or hard to say?
Brother, this was excellent. You asked all the right questions, brother. I think I pretty much got a lot of it out. I just want to say that the Moorish Science Symbol of America, now is the time for this organization to, the significance of what Prophet Drew Ali taught has greater significance now than it did during the time when he was on the manifest. And as times change and as conditions start to change and shift, we'll see the significance even more.
And I want to just add to what you said, Brother Sharif, to those watching.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for joining us. If you haven't subscribed, please click the subscribe button. It says that we got 30,000, 35,000 people come here and view, but only close to 2,000 of you subscribe. If you come check it out, subscribe, family.
That's right.
It gives us more power to do more things.
Yes.
I want to thank our brother Sharif. Those of you who come on, if you have any questions you didn't get to answer, you can still submit them in this video. We can still see him, and I can bring it to Brother Sharif, and maybe we can get some answers for you, or he can come back with a Q&A. Right?
I'd love to.
Yeah, man, we get a Q&A going on. That'd be hot. Brother Sharif, if anyone's watching this, they say, I want to be part of the Moorish Science Temple, what do they do?
Go to msta1913.org. msta1913.org. Go there. You could find me on Facebook, Sharif Anael Bey. You can find me on Instagram. Same thing, Sharif Anael Bey.
I'm just going to throw that up real quick. If you're interested in joining the Moorish Science Temple, that's msta1913.org. And you'll run into Brother Sharif, some other people that can kind of guide you through that process if you're in fact interested. We encourage our people to join organizations, start organizations, join them that you think will further your and our interests. Obviously, we have to do
Let me say, there's one thing I want to say.
Yes.
You know, social media and YouTube and things like that are useful tools, but they're being misused. What Brother IJ just said is real. Commit to something. Join something, people. Don't think that you're part of the demonstration because you watch a lot of YouTube vids. Commit. Don't be like the chicken in somebody's breakfast. Be like the cow. The chicken was just involved. The cow was committed.
Mm-hmm.
See what I'm saying? The chicken contributed an egg. Cow contributed his life. Big difference.
Yes, sir. Appreciate that, Brother Sharif. And man, thank you again. We're gonna always have room for you to come back, good brother. We gotta get Brother Ishmael up in here again too.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man. And so we thank you, good brother. Have a blessed day. Thank you for giving your time and energy. And we'll stay in touch. We'll catch up. We'll have you back on. You know how we do.
Please, I would love to, brother. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. And for those y'all watching,
brother, you mentioned something about in the near future doing a class. I'd be honored.
Yes, absolutely.
I'd be honored, bro.
Absolutely. We're gonna definitely keep that going.
Yes,
because
sir.
what I want to do is demonstrate this idea of getting the diaspora involved, getting different people, different perspectives, different personalities, different talents. We think diversity and inclusion refers to white folk, and we don't understand. No, be diverse and inclusive with yourself. We got diversity and inclusiveness in our own community. So yeah, definitely.
That's fact, bro.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Those y'all watching, family, we are done. Go back to your families, do what you're doing. Thank you for joining us. Peace and Black Power. We will see you soon. Wukusa, which means wake up, clean up, stand up. Peace.
Peace.